welcome to another Fiddlehead Fiddle lesson. I'm now going to do a lesson on how to practice in a fun and productive way using something called looping. Looping is playing a little piece over and over again in a continuous cycle. As a practice technique, it's great because if you take this a little piece versus trying to do the whole thing, say a whole tune, take a little piece and do it over and over again, you're going to get to a point where you let go of thinking about it so hard and you start to just play it. Basically, we're going to bring music into what you're playing, bring like a sense of flow and musicality into what you're doing. And so on an immediate level, if you're learning a tune, it's a great way to learn tunes, but then once you've learned a tune, looping is a great way to get better at it, and then further from that, or better meaning improve your sound, your tuning, and so forth. And then the next level beyond that, doing new things with it, adding variation or learning to improvise or something. You can use looping to keep going further with the tune. So we're going to work with a couple tunes today. The main one will be O Susanna, kind of a beginner's tune, because this is really for everybody, this lesson, whatever level you're at. So I want to make sure everybody's included. And so we're going to show you how you can use looping to learn a tune first. So it takes O Susanna. All right, I'll play a little bit of it. We'll just look at that much only. So you're a beginning fiddler, maybe that's you, or maybe you used to be, and you want to learn this tune. So you learn the first note, you learn the second note, which is open D, then D1. And then you learn the third note, second finger. So already, even with two notes you can loop, even theoretically with one note, but let's do a 3-note loop. Okay, so we're going to take those 3 notes and loop it in different ways to practice it. So let's start with just even, short notes. All right, so that's one loop that you could have done. Let's do it now more like the way it'll happen in the tune. We're going to do short, short, long, okay? All right, so this may seem kind of boring, but if you actually go and use this technique and really are true to it, there's nothing you can't learn in music. So what we do next is we add more notes to our loop. Let's add the next few notes. So we added 2 open A's. So here's that again. So before you loop it, make sure you got the part and you can just do it. And then we loop it as a form of practice. Excellent. So if you really do that long enough, I did it 4 times, if you do it longer, after a while that little piece is going to be like an old friend, and then when you encounter it in the tune, you'll be like, oh yeah, I got this. That's part of why we do looping, is it just gets you deeply familiar with the tune. Now the next bit that follows that in the tune, by the way, I think I have a beginning video for O Susanna, and if you want to learn the whole tune, you can follow the link below, and you can, after this, maybe learn the tune, all right? And then I have other videos related to it as well. So the phrase after that, or the little piece after that, is this. So let's see if we can figure out a way to loop that. Join in when ready. All right, so how many times you loop is kind of up to you. Of course, it should be at least twice. But then again, you don't want to do it. You don't have to do it, I should say, until you just hate that little piece. You're tired, you know. Find like a good length, see what works for you, but repeat it a few times, at least twice, maybe 4 is good, until it starts to feel like I got this. All right. Now we're gonna attempt to put those two together. So, assuming you already got the first and the second, I'm just gonna play this whole big chunk here that we have so far. So now, let's loop that piece. Good enough. So if you actually did that, you may have noticed that after a while it got a little easier. Maybe it didn't. So, and if it didn't, just have patience and please try to do this technique, because I guarantee it'll help you become much better at your instrument, whatever instrument you do. Say you also play piano. You could try doing this when you do your piano playing. You know, you're doing some piece or an etude. Play one single bar of it over and over again. You know, look away from the music, the written music, and just play it. And so basically you can continue this practice throughout O Susanna. I'm gonna stop on that part of the lesson right for now. But if you like, you know, take any tune you're working on and work this way, work the entire tune that way. The next thing you could do is, I don't really need to play, but I could just say that, say you've got the whole tune and some part of it is not sounding good. So let's say the chorus of O Susanna you got. But it doesn't sound that good. But you can do it. So what you do is you use looping to improve the sound of it. So you first find your notes, like the beginning of the chorus is D3. And then, so you may want to just get that sounding good. And then the next note is A1. Often for beginners, that alone is hard to play in tune, let alone get a good sound. So you could create a loop just for that. Again. Alright, so the idea with the loops is that you find little ones that kind of sound musical and that loop. Actually, almost anything could end up sounding cool if you loop it enough, even if it's an odd number of notes, like 7 notes. If you just keep doing it, it becomes musical. It's this magical thing. Looping is magic if you do it. So now, part of the looping philosophy is we extend the loop a little bit. So now we're going to add more to it. And repeat on that little piece. 3, 4. So in that way, you could use looping to improve your tuning and your tone, the sound, maybe the timing. Maybe you have some funny timing things, and so once you get it and figure it out, you correct what you were doing, then you can use looping to get it even more deeply. The last thing you can use looping for, and there's next, I shouldn't say the last, I don't know what else you can use it for. It's infinite practice thing. But you could use it if you're interested in adding variation to tunes. So let's go back to the first quarter. Say you were trying to add double stops to this. So this is cool. This is for like more advanced players. But you know, if you're beginner or advanced, just the principle is what I'm trying to get across here. So say you take this and you're trying to add some cool variations. Say you're adding double stops. Well, then you can use looping to test it out, see if you like that idea, and also to work it out. Maybe there's a way you can do it that's good, that you like, and that sounds right. So we're gonna first try just double stops throughout that whole piece. Like, okay. Maybe I'll try something different and I'll use looping to help me figure it out. Maybe I'll try to not do double stops the whole time. How does it sound faster? Let's loop it faster. Okay, and then now you're thinking, maybe I'll add a slide somewhere. Let's see if I can work out with looping. It's kind of hard. I messed it up. So maybe I'll try first doing the slides without the double stop. Do I want to slide the first? Maybe. What about this one, the second finger? Maybe both. I don't know. Let's try both. This is the thought process you go through when you're looping. It's also a form of fiddling. Okay, then you settle on that. I kind of like that. And then you try to add back the double stop. However you end up doing it, this looping process helps with the fiddling process. And fiddling being like adding variation and playing things in different ways. All right, so so you can do a ton with that, and you could do any tune with that. You could take this approach. The last thing I want to give you is, say you're this is for people who can read music. Even if you can't read music, maybe you're reading tabs, and so this would apply to you too. And I have some written music here that I want to show this principle to. So hopefully this it's not intimidating, but even if you're a beginner and you're looking at this, can that be seen? Let's check it out. I'm my own director here, and my own DP. I think that's visible. So here's this tune called Gladstone's Reel, and I'm going to point out what I'm going to do. So a way to kind of figure out your looping if you're reading music is you can use brackets. You can go in and say, so here's the B part, and this first bar is hard. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with the first half. I'm going to draw these brackets, all right? So then you play that, you look at it, and you play it until you get it, and then you can look away from the music. And so, but you basically use looping to work on things within written music too. So I'm off camera, but I'm going to play that little piece I bracketed. I played it wrong. I'll try it again. In the same way I used it to practice something I learned by ear, I can practice it with written music. Now here's the next piece. I'm going to bracket that and do the same thing. And now I'm just going to play the whole first bar. Whatever system you come up with, maybe you want to erase your original brackets or draw a box around the bar. Now I'll do the whole first bar and loop that. Loop it back. And so on and so forth. So that's an example of using looping for written music. There may be something that I haven't even thought of that you could loop with. One thing I want just to backtrack slightly, we're almost done with the lesson, but the second phase of learning tunes, as I explained, was taking a tune you can do and making it sound better. And so that includes kind of like the tone of it, like getting a nice full sound. We talked about that for Oh Susanna. It includes your tuning, like playing, like figuring, making sure things are in tune. And timing, we talked about that, but also things like bowing are kind of in between, like the world of variation, but just basic. Bowing's kind of a basic thing. Like, how are you going to bow it? Are you going to add slurs? So you could loop on the bowing ideas as well. So maybe I want to slur those two quick notes. Down, up, two notes in that up bow. And then ended up being down bow there. But I think you get the point. You could use it to work out slur patterns. There's also a ton of things you can add to tunes in terms of accents. Like having a good, like, say you're playing a jig, like Swallowtail. And you want to add a strong J accent. Well, when you first start trying to learn the accenting, it's hard. So don't do the whole tune. Just do. Work out that accent in a loop on just that one, those three notes. Then do it on a 6-note loop. All right, so a lot of ideas, but basically the take-home message, looping as a practice technique is magical. You should do it. And thanks for watching. I'll see you soon on Fiddlehead Fiddle Lesson channel. Goodbye. Thanks for watching the video. Excellent.